Përshëndetje motra.
Music in the Art and the Team podcast.
I'm Leonarda.
I'm Lejla. Welcome home. Do you know what? It has been a shitstorm
I know.
for women.
It's been, I feel like I've been watching a movie and I don't want to say fairy tale, but a horror movie.
A horror movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a horror movie. I feel like we've gone back 300 years.
Yeah.
The Western world. I feel like we're in a situation where the rubber band is being pulled and it's gonna snap.
My God, that's the best way. That's such a good analogy because that's exactly what it feels like. I have this like sense of impending doom.
Yeah. And
I don't want to make this episode like all doom and gloom, but the reality is like it really is a scary time to be a woman right now.
It really, really is. For the first time in my life, I've had to be more vigilant of my surroundings. Of course, yes, I've always been like that, but now more so because now I'm worried that a man is going to come up to me and be like, your body, my choice.
Like they just all of a sudden think that they have free will to do so because they're being enabled on a global scale.
Exactly. And, you know, people will say, well, that happened in the US. Yeah, but you're in the UK. The UK is literally the dog of the US. Whatever the US will do, the UK will follow. Like, we've seen that.
That's why it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely think I'm watching the beginning of The Handmaid's Tale play out.
Exactly.
In the West, because this has already been happening in, you know, other parts of the world. But I feel like I'm actually watching it now play out in the West too. Yeah.
The 4B movement is just, it's going to grow.
Well, the thing for me is like with the 4B movement, someone actually asked me on TikTok, I think was it this morning or last night, I can't remember. Someone said, oh, do you support the 4B movement? And I was like, hell yes, I think all women everywhere, all over the world should practice the 4B movement. Even my married friends, even the ones who love their husbands.
I told you this, didn't I? I was like, I support the 4B movement. I can't be in it because I've got access. I've got access to a male.
I think even you should support be in the 4B movement. No, I think that all women should just completely decenter men. And I know that we spoke about that with Chris the other week, but I'm a firm advocate for that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think once you decenter men, you take your power back. You make them really small into an ant almost, feel like an ant, because men are forgetting that women need to exist to make humanity keep going. Without women, there is no such thing as continuing generations and generations. Without women, the whole world would collapse. And it's as if men hate the fact that we've got that control.
Oh my God, men hate that women have control over anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see that every single day in our TikTok comments, but I think this week in particular for our community has been horrific for Albanian women because of what we saw happen on TV, live on TV. And I think when this episode goes out, I think we would have been
a week.
Yeah, like it was
2 weeks.
Yeah, almost, I guess, because this won't be going out in time for when the Big Brother incident happened.
Yeah.
But it's something that absolutely needs to be discussed and addressed because what happened in that Big Brother house is not just vile, but it's actually terrifying for women, for the way that our community view women and for the way that our community enables abusers and perpetrators. And I don't know why there was so much shock, right? And people should be outraged, absolutely, but why were people shocked that happened? Why were people shocked that Big Brother the producers brought in an abuser to terrorize the victim? Why are you shocked when you've seen it happen in your own homes, you've seen it happen in the community? Why were you shocked when you saw it on TV?
I think it's because they set this expectation that on TV you don't see
like it's all perfect. Yeah,
it's all perfect.
And isn't this right, the perfect example of how much our community buries their head in the sand, will act ignorant and pretend like abuse and violence doesn't happen in our community, and then they're like, oh my God, how are they doing that on TV? But you see it in your homes all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are you shocked?
Exactly. When I saw that, because I don't know Drinosha's whole story, but I know enough that when I saw him, he doesn't deserve.
No, he doesn't.
Even recognition. When I saw him go into the house, my first thought was all of the progress that she's made for her mental health, her emotional condition, like whatever. Safety has all been thrown out the window.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that progress she's done in 2 years has all been thrown out of the window because the trauma is just being slapped straight into her face every single minute that he was in there.
Yeah.
And his reasoning was, I wanted to fix my reputation. No one cares. No one gives a shit about your reputation.
Fuck off with your reputation.
Like,
Fuck off. You don't deserve a reputation.
No.
Your reputation is that you are an abuser.
Exactly.
That's your reputation. Live with it now.
And it's so sad that it took protests, it took smoke bombs,
organizations to stand
organizations in Kosovo to stand up and do protests and all of this, and the Ministria Dritis to get involved, and people contact me and you for our statement. And I remember during that whole time, I had to ask the person that did our article at Albanian Post. I had to ask her to message me directly because you were having such a hard time. You were triggered. And I felt so bad. So I was like, message me. Don't even message Lejla because it's really triggering.
Yeah.
And it just puts in perspective that Big Brother does. I don't know. For one idea in Big Brother, in any show, it takes an army of people to approve this.
Yeah.
And I cannot for the life of me understand how someone did not say, actually, hold on.
I can.
This is so damaging.
I can understand, and I can really, I can't understand, there's no agreement there, but I can understand because this is what happens in our community day in, day out to women. Every single day. The community thinks it's okay to perpetrate abuse and violence, and they think it's okay to make out like it's the victim's fault. So I can absolutely see how that conversation went down. They didn't think there was anything wrong with it because no one in our community challenges people, challenges abusers, challenges anyone who thinks that abuse towards women and girls is okay. So I definitely can see how that conversation went down. And that's why I'm so angry, because the shockwaves that went through the community, I was like, why are you shocked? This is why we even started Trime in the first place, was to discuss these issues out in the open so that you don't have this shock factor.
Yeah, exactly.
You're shocked for what?
Yeah.
You saw this happen your whole entire life. You're just now seeing it on TV. So now there's no hiding it anymore.
Yeah.
Because everyone always wants to say like, oh, it's, this happens all over the world. Yes, it does. But it's really prolific in our community. And if you don't, if you don't discuss it and you act like it's not real, you act like it's not happening, then women are not safe anywhere. And in particular, on TV.
Exactly. And I always say, because people on TikTok Live are always saying to us, not all men,
it is all men. Until you prove
men.
to me that every single man in the world will stand up for a woman and will stand against their male friends, their male colleagues, their male peers, and will call them out, it is all men.
Exactly.
It absolutely is all men.
I completely agree. And they'll say to me, well, why do you paint us in such a bad light? And I always say, and we always discuss this, and I always say, because our women are dying, we are not allowing.
We don't need to paint anyone in a bad light. The stories speak for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Statistics are statistics.
The fact that, absolutely, and the fact that immediately people in the community are, they feel like attacked and they feel offended and they feel like we're demonizing the community. That's a projection of actually what they think, not what we think.
Because
we're the ones who are highlighting. Thank you. We're the ones who are highlighting these women's real lived experience. And I thought to myself about like talking about this topic today, because I thought I can either come and talk about like with my professional hat on, or I can come and talk about it with my own lived experience. And that what happened last week in the Big Brother house, and also just to mention as well that there was a 14-year-old girl in Pristine that was raped,
and there was a second 9-year-old
girl and a 9-year-old girl as well. So in terms of women's safety and men's violence towards women and girls in the Albanian community is hell. Women are in hell right now. Albanian women are in hell right now.
We also had a case in the UK where a man killed his wife in front of his 3 kids, and that was a few days ago. And we had another case in Germany where a man also killed his wife in front of their 2 kids. All Albanian. And it was all because of jealousy, because
it's because they're abusers.
Abusers.
Let's not even skirt around the issue. Like, I'm so done, like, just calling it violence towards women and girls. It's men's violence, because it's men who are perpetrating these crimes. It's not jealousy why the woman died. It's the man. The man killed the woman. That's why she died.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, it's time to really put that blame exactly where it belongs and leave it there. Like, for me, that clip, watching the Nusha in that room, I couldn't even watch all of because you sent it to me. I couldn't even watch it, because as soon as I watched it, this sense of like fear, like I was so scared, and I immediately felt like I was her. Immediately, because I know what that feels like when you have to still deal with your abuser. The thing is if you were a random person on the street and you were attacked, right? What are you? You're a victim of that crime. Would anyone turn around to you and then expect you to be in the same room as that person ever again? No, they wouldn't. They'd be like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
If you advised a woman to be in a room with a stranger that attacked them, everyone would look at you like you're insane.
Yeah.
So why do we do it when it's their husbands?
Because to us, because it's normal.
Thank you.
It's normalized.
Because we've made it normal in the community.
Yeah. We've made it normal. We've made it that it is the responsibility of the woman to carry that weight. Yeah. It's the responsibility of the woman to look after their husband and make sure that the husband doesn't abuse them, because the blame is always put onto the woman.
Yep.
You know, I hear so often in comments in real life, in men around in my family, that are always like, well, if she didn't go out like this, she wouldn't get raped.
It's the most disgusting victim blaming mentality.
It's just stupid. If she didn't raise her voice, she wouldn't get slapped. Are you stupid?
How about just don't abuse women?
Exactly.
How about that?
Don't. And I always say, Albanian men, they keep going like this and they don't change their mentality, their behavior. They're going to continue dying out. Albanian women, as they progress, they're not going to give their time of day to Albanian men, and they're going to be a dying out breed. And I don't think anyone wants that. But if they don't change their ways, why would an Albanian woman date you? Why
would you want to date anyone who was like that? And this is why I don't understand, like, why, when the violence comes in the comments on our TikToks, I'm like, do you think that a woman's going to read this and be like, oh my God, this is it. This is the man of my dreams.
Exactly.
This is the man of my dreams. Oh my God, I found him in Trime's TikTok comments. Please.
No,
no,
they're not. They're
absolutely not.
They're going to feel like they're going to feel like, actually, this is proof that I'm not safe anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I refuse to keep those kind of comments on, like, anywhere in our community posts and things like that. But yeah, what I saw on that clip was just so horrific for me. Like on a personal level as a survivor, and it was really triggering. Like, I remember watching that. I might even end up going red, because I always go red when I feel like I'm trupi flak.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt after I watched that. Yeah. And I remember I woke up on Tuesday morning, and obviously there was such incredible backlash. I think the backlash was amazing. It was so needed. So sad that it took that, but so needed in the community, that ripple that it sent through. When I woke up Tuesday morning, I just felt depressed. Like, I messaged Dan and I was like, I feel nothing. I feel flat. And all day I was just, you know, when you just can't put your finger on it, because everyone thinks that depression, like, you just feel sad and you cry. But for me, depression is actually where I feel absolutely nothing, zilch. There's no happiness, there's no anger, there's no sadness, there's nothing. It's just monotonous. I can't explain it. There's just nothing there. And I just felt like that all day until I messaged you, and I just burst into tears. I was like, I can't follow the discourse. I can't, because the comments were just so horrific. Like, if you went, I could not bring myself to read the comments, to read how many people in our community would blame a woman in any way for what an abuser does to her.
And, like, wish abuse on live TV as well.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane why anybody would want to put a woman in a position like that.
It's because they've been enabled to think that they can.
It's almost like, what more proof do you need that this is an issue, a huge, massive issue in our community? What more proof do you need?
I think it's stupid. It's so stupid to even deny that it exists in our community. Whoever denies it is either blind or deaf, or both. One of those two.
Well, whoever denies it is just being willingly ignorant. They're just being ignorant.
Completely ignorant. And because they've been allowed to continue with this kind of mentality, in our community, it's a wide known fact that women are seen more as property than actual equals, or or as an equitable person to them, and they feel like, and this is why there's so much wrong in our community, because men, boys, whatever it is, the men So men are still being brought up in that mentality that a woman should be listening to you, a woman should be looking after you, basically be a caretaker for you for the rest of your life. Women are progressing. Women are saying, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And men don't know how to handle it because they've always just seen abuse around them. They think it's completely normal, and it's not. And it does not matter how you're brought up. It does not matter. I know people that have been brought up in really abusive households, and they have turned out to be the most amazing
because
people.
abuse is a choice.
Exactly.
And that's why I don't even say things like, oh, he's not a real man. No. He very much is a man.
Yeah.
He very much is a man.
He is
because
a
the
man.
more we say like, oh, you know that everyone uses it worldwide, he's not a man, he's a boy. No, stop minimizing that it is actually grown men who are doing this and hold them accountable. He very much is a grown man, and he still chooses to abuse women.
Exactly. And also we can accept that men are stronger than us biologically. They do have that power over us, and they're using that in a very, very dangerous way and killing, basically putting women's lives in danger. The whole situation that happened with Brother, it's not surprising. It really isn't.
It's not surprising.
It's not surprising. It's just, I've just been let down so much because my biggest worry, and I said this to the spokeswoman at Albanian Post, I said that is so dangerous for the younger generation, for kids, for the younger generation, and for young adults, whether they're male or female, seeing that is so dangerous because you're normalizing on national TV that putting your abuser in a room with you is completely normal, and it's your responsibility to shut your mouth and deal with it. It's so dangerous. It's dangerous for Drenosha. I was really worried for her because I genuinely thought we were going to see an abuser abuse a woman on live TV. Because that's what I expect. A narcissist, an abuser, a perpetrator will always be a perpetrator. There's nothing on this earth that will make them change. It doesn't matter if you say, well, I changed my ways. No. You haven't changed your ways. You haven't.
If you changed your ways, you wouldn't have gone into the Big Brother house.
Exactly, in the first place.
You would have said, you know what? No, I caused my ex-wife so much pain.
Exactly.
I was awful. It was completely my fault. I was abusive. I'm not going to further inflict any pain and abuse onto her.
Exactly.
I'm not doing it.
Exactly. You just wouldn't. So I genuinely thought that we were going to see abuse happen on live TV. And then the next thing that happened was Rezarte, one of the contestants, he slapped one of the girl contestants' bum while she was in a bikini doing a task that Big Brother set. And she didn't make it a big deal right there and then. But afterwards, she cried so much because she was like, no one gave him the right to touch me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Big Brother, because they were threatened with their license getting taken.
That's the only reason why. Yeah, because I know that you said they then took the other contestants out as well for their actions, but that's the only reason why they did that. The only reason is because they were threatened with losing their license.
The only reason. And then on Friday they called back Drenosha's ex-husband to get his opinion after he was kicked out anyways about his journey. And then the co-hosts followed up with all of the contestants chatting bullshit about how abuse and sexual harassment, emotional harassment, all of these things are not tolerated.
After they invited him on.
After everything. Exactly.
Everything.
And and it's not just me that think like, it's not just me and you that think like this. It's a lot of women that are thinking like this because the women's organisations have been demonised in Kosovo this week by the men. Because obviously, why wouldn't they? They hate the fact that women are standing up for women. And they hate the fact that riots started literally on Tuesday because of this whole situation. But why try and sugarcoat what you're not? Everyone can see. None of us are stupid. The only stupid people are you, that you've put yourself and you've jeopardized your whole reputation, that most likely a lot of women that have their own shows or women in power that are feminists are not even going to work with you.
No, absolutely not. And
because money is money, but women, I like to think, women that are feminists in power will never give you their time of day.
No, absolutely not. They wouldn't. I think what's terrifying is right now is there going to be so many Albanian women who are actually genuinely terrified in their own homes.
Yeah.
Because they've watched this happen on live TV, and now their partner, husband, family, you know, in-laws, whoever is doing the perpetration, they're all going to think this, oh, look, happened on TV, this is all right.
Exactly, yeah.
See?
No, exactly. And I did see a lot of male creators, you know, men actually making videos and saying, this is what my friends are now saying. And, you know, so I did see backlash that men also...
Good, at last.
I did see backlash, but I saw some horrific comments. I saw comments like, "Oi, shall I rimpers Dutch?" Like, "Oh, no, I quite here in a parcel dot me reaped." Like, just stupid stuff. I even had family members literally ask me, because now, you know, with Trime, they think that we know everything.
Yeah. Obviously, we've solved it all. We've solved. Everyone go home. Everyone go home. We've solved all the world problems.
They were calling me and they were like, "Is it true that Drenusha did get abused? Do you have facts?" And I was like, "Mum, dad, sister, aunt, whoever it is, I do. These are the court papers in Sweden. This is how he went to prison."
But do you know what, though? Even that mentality of like, do you have proof? Do you have facts? Do you know how dangerous and damaging that is for victims? Because most victims don't actually. Yeah. Most victims don't report their abuse. Most victims don't go to the police. Most victims don't have evidence.
And how you?
So what about those women? I really, really hate that mentality that like, I need proof.
Yeah.
And the proof is that the woman is telling you it happened.
But you
That's
know,
proof.
It's a double standard, because if a man got raped, everyone would believe him.
Well, if a man abused a woman has to prove that she was abused. All a man has to do is say, "I didn't do it."
Yeah. And if it was the other way around, the man would be listened to a bit more. Because to everyone, to our community, you don't really see women abusing their husbands. And you're like, of course she did. Of course she abused him. So it's all more accepted, but when a woman talks, it's as if like, "Oh, tie groi ketchup is din sandwich, done me anzi." Like, no, it's not that actually. It's the fact that I want to live. I wasn't born. I wasn't created for a man to take my life.
This is honestly why I think this week I've just spent the whole week in such despair, and one of the big reasons why I don't watch TV shows like that, because there is zero understanding, zero care. It's not even just understanding. People understand abuse. They know it very well. They know how it works. They know who the abuser is. They just don't give a shit about the victim enough to stop it. They don't give a shit enough to keep a woman safe, to actually call out the abuser, to stop the perpetration. Yeah. I think that's the bit that for me has been horrific this week as a survivor, because you think, when is someone going to care? When are people going to care enough so that women are not constantly reliving these nightmares?
Yeah, and I think that's where Trime comes in. Like, no one.
But there's no repercussions for abusers in our community.
No, there isn't.
None. There's absolutely none. They get put on TV instead. Yeah, there is. They get celebrated and put on TV.
I mean, the only reason I watch these things, for me personally, is because that's my way of research. Because no one's doing research. No one's actually doing research. And what better way for me to gain research from these well-known celebrities that should be actually minding their language and don't. And I paint a picture of these celebrities and then I heighten that by 10 for actual normal people. Yeah. And I know that it's 10 times worse. And that for me is the best form of research, because I've learned so much in the last 25 days of Big Brother. I've just learned how our community does not give a flying shit about women. Yeah. It just doesn't give a flying shit about women. Still demonizing women, idolizing men, idolizing the thought.
Please, can we stop idolizing men? Please, I beg you, girls, please, whoever's listening, please stop idolizing men. Don't. They have nothing to give you. Stop idolizing them.
Genuinely.
Idolize yourself.
Exactly.
Stop it. There is nothing you can get from a man that you cannot give to yourself.
No, exactly. Not in this day and age. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Anything that a man can do, you can do.
Absolutely. Like, just, you got to stop idolizing them. Please. Do yourself a favour. Stop idolizing them.
Yeah, please. Please. Or just be a lesbian, just
well, only if you are, like, sexuality isn't a choice, but but it's funny because actually a lot of women, after they start decentering men, not just really, I said this the other day to you, like they come into their own like strength and their passion and their purpose in life. And I think a lot of women are actually scared of what a life without men and decentering men would look like, and what it would mean for them, but they have no idea that it would be a life full of safety and purpose.
Yeah, it's because in society, as norm, in the society that we're brought up into, and the community, we are fed this fantasy of needing a man because a man will give you X, Y, and Z.
No one needs a man. No,
and
you don't need a man.
Actually, you don't need a man.
You don't need a man.
You don't need a man for anything.
Girls, you do not need a man. You do not need.
They don't even understand.
You do not need a man.
Yeah, men don't even understand. They don't understand how to even pleasure a woman.
I'm sorry.
They just don't get it.
It's true. Facts. Facts.
So why would
here on the podcast.
Why would you need a man then? What else does he offer you if he doesn't offer you that, which is a basic thing?
Listen,
I'm not talking about myself. But I'm just in general.
I didn't want to go there.
Statistically,
I didn't want to go there.
Statistically,
I didn't want to take it there, but you took it there.
Well, I took it there because I know what everyone's thinking. Oh, I would rather say it myself.
I don't think either of us lack in that department with our partners.
No, because if we did, I think both of us would leave them.
Yeah, it would be hell on earth.
Yeah.
No, it's not happening. I did not come this far to just come this far, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. Why am I with you?
Oh my God.
Are you a millionaire? No. Well then.
Oh dear. Oh. I really was trying not to take it there. This is why we need Trime like after dark.
Yeah.
Like something like a private, I don't know, like a Patreon or something.
Yeah. Because
so they can hear that conversation.
Some of the shit that we talk about.
I know.
It would actually send ripples through the community.
It actually would. It would make us go viral, but for all the wrong reasons.
We would be on an assassination page. That's where we would end up.
They already hate us.
I know, but...
Do you know what I love the most? Because when we discuss these issues, they're so heavy, right? And the ripples that are sent through the community are just so... they're really damaging for women, and women are really scared in our community right now. They're absolutely terrified, and I completely get it. But why we wanted to create Trime was for these reasons exactly. Was so that in these times women can come and find solace in Trime, and that is exactly what they did. And I think one of the reasons why I probably didn't spiral as much as I normally would when I'm triggered is because I saw how many women were turning to us, like were tagging us in videos, were messaging us like, what, please, like, can you make a statement? Can you say this? But I was quick on it. As soon as it happened Monday night, we obviously posted on Insta and then on TikTok, because I said to you, I was like, I do not want women coming to any of our platforms and thinking like, what have they got to say?
Exactly.
Like Trime has now become a solace for these women, and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah, so am I, because as much as I was so scared of the whole situation, and I was trying to support you and just trying to keep, contact with everyone back in Kosovo and understand what's going on and where Trime fits in with all of that, it made my heart feel so whole when women were actually coming to us and say, I would love your opinion, I would love to see a statement, I would love this, because it means that Trime has got her own foot in the ground now.
Fact.
And people want to know what me and Lejla are saying.
And the thing is
hear it.
I need like all the women in our community to know that when these things happen, like, we've got you.
Yeah.
I'm a survivor myself, and I know what it's like to not have anywhere to turn to.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've cried on the podcast, but I know what that feels like. I know when there's nothing, there's no one to turn to. And that's why I said I was like instantly like, they need to know that we're on this. Like whenever these things happen, just know you don't need to ask us for a statement. No. The statement is coming. The statement is coming. Like, we're always going to be on your side. Yeah, we're always going to be on survivors and victims' side. It's never, perpetrators are never, and men are never going to get that from us.
Exactly. It never. It doesn't matter. We're not here to... Trime is not materialistic. Trime is here for women, for Albanian women. We want to make sure that anything that happens, they know that we've got their backs, just like you said.
Yeah. I feel so hot, like, even talking about it. I think that, as I said, like, the reason why I don't watch those shows is because they're so triggering and people don't actually understand what it's like to be a woman, to have survived a life or death situation.
No.
Like, even the term survivor itself means you survived a situation after the fact where someone else has died in a similar situation, right?
Yeah.
And so when you've been with a perpetrator who has had those kind of catastrophic impacts on your life, and you've thought, this is it, I'm going to die today.
Exactly.
Do you know how many women would have been, millions of women, Albanian women across the world would have been watching that, not just on TV, but they would have seen it on TikTok, they would have seen it on Facebook, they would have seen it on Instagram, everywhere, and it would have reminded them over and over again of the worst day of their life. Like,
exactly.
I think every victim has the worst day of their life. And for me, watching that clip put me straight back into, I mean, there were multiple worst days of my life, but that's what it does.
Yeah.
It's not fucking entertainment.
Yeah.
Women's pain and women's suffering is not entertainment for the world.
Yeah.
It's real danger to their lives. And even if he hadn't have been physically violent on the show, he would have fucked with her mental health.
Exactly. It's the same concept. It's today's Remembrance Day. It's the same concept of putting a soldier that survived the World War II, World War One, in the same setting. You would never do it.
Yeah.
Because it reignites that the psychological pain, the emotional pain, the physical pain. You just don't do it.
Absolutely.
And I wish so much it was the same concept for women. I really do.
Me too. I don't want anything more than that. Like, I want women to feel safe. I want them to know that, like, their lives 100% are worthy. Like, and Trime will always remind them of that. And so just know that when these things happen, I'm not even gonna say if, because we know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna be the last time something like that happens
No.
in our community. It's gonna happen over and over and over and over and over again, right? But when things like that happen, like, we've got you 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Because first and foremost, I have to have myself.
Exactly.
Like, as a survivor, I have to have myself, and I've had to learn that in my own recovery. Like, I have to create safety within myself, and then I distribute that amongst other women as well, whether it's with the survivors of domestic abuse or whether it's in the Trime community. Like, women deserve that safe space. Women deserve that solace to turn somewhere and be like, oh, okay, like, I feel so seen and heard. Like,
exactly.
You know, it's not the end of the world how I feel right now. And when you suffer from PTSD, you know, and a lot of survivors do suffer from PTSD. What the brain does is, I'm no scientist, but I've read a lot, and I've had to read a lot in my own recovery to understand why and how and all of that. But your brain, when it's triggered, it can't differentiate between what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And so it thinks that right now is you, it's happening to you, and it's real, and then everything comes back to you. And that's what it means to be triggered, because we use this word triggered, like, they all become buzzwords. That's what it really means to be triggered. It's a really horrific space for a survivor to be in, and that is just for the women who are watching. Can you imagine what she would have felt like? And that's why on Tuesday, after, like, when I started crying to you, it wasn't sadness I was feeling, it was fear.
Yeah.
It was fear, a sheer and utter terror, not just for her, but it was me, it was my fear. It was remembering what it was like to be with someone like that.
Yeah.
And my brain, it just can't tell the difference. It doesn't matter if someone says to you, you need to ground yourself. You know, that's in the past. That's not happening. My brain doesn't know that in that moment, because my brain is now fucked from the trauma.
Yeah.
It doesn't function the way it did before that. I mean, my brain probably never functioned normally anyway. But I think that's safe to say. Lejla's brain has never functioned in a neurotypical way, okay? But, you know, that 8.5 years I spent with a man who was abusive and violent.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, that's the best part of a decade. You don't just leave and then you're cured.
No.
You're in recovery for the rest of your life.
Yeah. For the rest of your life, till the day you die.
Yeah. And for me, it has such a big ripple effect, like triggers like that. I can't sleep then, and I can't eat. But I either can't eat or I overeat. I go like both extremes. I can't sleep, like I'll be up till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I'm just constantly in fight or flight, like terrified that something's going to happen to me. Yeah,
because the trauma is that experience, that lived experience that you've got, where we're always waiting for something to happen, that never goes away. Trauma is trauma.
Yeah. And for me, so I'm just going to do a bit of a trigger warning. Don't worry, we'll put a trigger warning in the caption as well somewhere. But when you've been with someone who has caused you that much violence, not even your own bed is safe. Not even sleep is safe, because you're terrified that you will die in your sleep. You're terrified that this person who is abusing you is going to kill you in your sleep.
Yeah.
And to carry that through for the rest of your life is just, it's so painful. It's so painful for you as a survivor. And then to watch that happen, like, I was just, I think like I was lost for words.
Yeah.
And I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I knew something like this would happen, but I was lost for words for myself.
Yeah.
Because I had to filter through my own emotions.
Maybe my naivety or ignorance, because I was gobsmacked. And I guess that comes with the privilege of never having to be in that space. And you learn something every day. But I just... You know, when you've got rational logic thoughts and you just can't believe that someone does not have rational logic thoughts, and they just think it's normal for someone that, you know, we're both feminists, but for someone that practices feminism, and it's like basic feminism to not do that.
Hello, women being safe shouldn't even just be seen as a feminist thing.
It's
it
basic.
should just be seen basic all over the world.
Exactly. And I just couldn't comprehend how, what, why. But
that's because you're a good person, though.
Yeah.
That's because you're a good person. Like, when you're a good person, you're never going to understand why someone does things like that.
Yeah.
Because you're not a perpetrator. You're not those producers who have that stupid fucked up mentality.
Yeah.
You're a good person. You would never put someone in that position.
No.
And I actually implore, like, people who have that mentality, like, why I don't get it, keep having that mentality, please.
Yeah.
Because it's not a normal thing to do. Actually, you having that mentality, thinking, why did they do that? You're never going to understand. In fact, don't even waste your time trying to understand. Just accept that this is what the world is like, and then do something about it to help it not be that way.
Exactly. Work towards, you know, Trime and stuff. But I just, and this is why I love the fact that I've got you, because you're like, actually, I'm not surprised, because this is what, you know, this is what's been happening in the Albanian community for hundreds of years, so I'm not surprised. Then you put it in perspective for me, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I know, like, it happens, but I never in a million years thought that they would do that on live television.
But this is what happens when it's enabled, first and foremost in the home, and then it's enabled by the family, and then it's enabled by Kate Mahalan. Like, this is what happens. This is what happens. It becomes systemic. It becomes institutional. It happens in government. It happens in schools. It happens on TV. Like, what did people expect? What did people expect? If you don't put a stop to something and you keep enabling it and you keep saying it's okay over and over again, and you blame women instead of the perpetrators, what did you think was going to happen?
Exactly. And then they say, "Jentrar nog grat." No, my friend, nuk jentrar nog grat, but ju ka ardh koha juve.
Yeah.
Kështu dhe juve m'ja kthy.
Yeah.
Se s'po du me fol. S'po du mu bë hor.
Oh, cool, Katie bottom whore.
Well, it's true though. Like, you know, now we're always called, you know, jentrar nog grat e sodit, nok pongoin.
Listen to what though? Listen to what though?
Exactly. Listen to what? Your uneducated
What
self?
do you want me to listen to? And this is why I always put the questions back. So when people sometimes come into our lives, and I think someone made a comment like, oh, but she knew he was going to go in the house. So what? Now what?
Yeah.
What's your point?
Exactly.
What is your point? What are you saying, that she deserved it?
Exactly.
Just because she knew? Even if she don't, I don't know if she knows or not, but I remember seeing that particular comment.
Yeah.
And I thought, but so what?
Yeah.
What point are you trying to make when you say that?
Yeah, I think I replied back to that comment actually on our on our statement. Someone said, oh, she already knew they paid her big money, and I said something along the lines of, it does not matter if they paid her money or not. It is the responsibility of the production team to make sure everyone is safe.
Yeah.
And
I hope she got paid. I hope she did.
Yeah, I hope she did. And she even said, but the thing is you cannot fake that reaction that she had. You can't fake that reaction because she changed 360 and he was just being a narcissist. You can't fake that reaction. You can be the best actress on earth. You can't fake that reaction. That is trauma scars. You can just see it through and through. So you can't fake it. And, you know, she did say that, you know, the minute I get out of here, I'm literally putting my court papers in and making sure that he gets what he deserves.
Good for her. I hope she does.
I really hope she does.
I hope she does.
I really, really hope she... Drenosha used to be Miss Kosovo. You can just tell the struggles she's been through. You really can. But yeah, even if she was paid, I don't care if they...
So what? It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change that she's the victim. And this is what we do in the community. We find a way to blame the women so that it stops being men's fault.
Yeah.
Stop taking the accountability away from men and hold them responsible for the way that they are treating women.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop calling them boys. They're not boys. They're grown men. They know exactly what they are doing. I just dread to think that even with the amount of evidence and proof that she did have, even with all of the evidence, this is what's terrifying. This is the part that fills me with so much dread for our community. Even with all the evidence that she had, that she came with about how abusive he was, everyone still tried to find a way to blame her.
Yeah. And it took the Ministry Adrecis to call the production, to the main producer and the production team, to come up for questioning and bring out the facts, because Ministry Adrecis had 7 huge complaints with Chica.org. Everyone knows Chica in Kosovo, in Pristina, and it was only when the Ministry Adrecis actually it's as if like someone's made a mistake, your child's made a mistake. You know, this is not the analogy, but your child's made a mistake. Now the adult has to come in and tell you off.
Except they're not children; they're all grown adults.
Exactly, but it seems that way because
you know, I
only
have
a child...
to say, like, the biggest shout out to Chica.org. Like they, for the way that they stood up and what they did back home last week.
Yeah, was amazing.
It was amazing. Like, as a survivor myself, not just from childhood, but also in adulthood, there was that part of me that when I was watching their stuff that they were putting on social media, I was just like, I felt so a bit more safer knowing that there are now organisations out there that are standing up for Albanian women's rights.
And, you know, you've seen the video, and I even saw the original video, and it was really much like, we're taking your license, you're getting a fine, or he comes out. Yeah. Simple as that. Simple as that. It doesn't matter, because they were all like, all the contestants in there were asking him, how did you get in here? Like, what are the checks? And this is the thing. All the women in there were like, but you've been to prison in Sweden. You've been convicted of domestic abuse in Sweden by your first wife. How is that not taken into consideration going on live shows?
And could you imagine how unsafe the other women in there would have felt as well?
Exactly.
Because they're now thinking, who are they going to bring in from my past that has done the same to me?
Exactly. And he gaslit all of them and said...
Of course he did. Perpetrators do as they are. Like, they won't stop. They will try to manipulate absolutely everyone around them.
Literally.
And sometimes it's really successful. Yeah. That's how perpetrators get away with it. But what I was saying in terms of Drenosha having all of that evidence and people still victim blaming her, I'm just scared for all the women that don't even have half of what Drenosha has. Drenosha has a public appearance. She's got public platforms. She has now all of these organisations behind her, backing her for what happened. What about the women that don't even have an ounce of that?
She's got financial
independence. They're the ones that are truly, truly suffering because they don't even know where to go for help.
Exactly. And it's so complex, because in our community, when a woman is abused and she wants to go back to her parents, there is a lot of parents that are shamed into, you know, you have to turn back your daughter.
Embarrassing for anybody to say that to someone. Embarrassing.
And it's the truth. As horrifying as it is to say, I've heard it over and over again. Once she's out of my house and gone to Fisi Hoyt, she's not coming back here. Like, her doors are closed.
I don't know how anyone could do that to their daughter. I don't know how anyone could even kind of put that message out there to let their daughter think that, oh my God, like if my husband does that to me, I can't even go back to my parents.
And it makes it even more dangerous. It makes it so dangerous because a woman feels like she's got nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go. She's been given no support at all, no inheritance, no financial stability. Her education's been stripped because, you know, she got married. She now has to have kids because she's a baby making machine. We, you know, we have spoken about this. So I just fear so much for these women, and I am grateful that Chica exists in Pristina, and I hope that we see more and more coming up, and I hope we see Trime actually in Pristina, in not just in Pristina, because Pristina is not the whole of Kosovo, but everywhere in Kosovo.
I feel like we need to make that like on t-shirts. Pristina is not all of Kosovo. Tirana is not all of Albania.
Yeah.
Because for some reason everyone seems to think that, and that's not the case.
No, exactly. So I pray that we continuously grow and we reach these women and we change their lives and we revolutionize their lives, the whole community.
They deserve it. That's what it's the bare minimum of what they deserve. It's the bare minimum of what Trime can do at the very least, is to give women that hope, to give Albanian women that hope that like, this is not it.
Exactly.
And for as long as we're here, it's not going to be it.
Yeah, we're not going to stand for it. We're not going to stand for it. We're going to fight for it into our last breaths.
And so whilst I guess by now the news of Denusha will have been like, you know, like yesterday's news and probably no one's talking about it anymore. The fact of the matter is that's not an isolated incident of domestic abuse, that it happens all through the community. And now you've just seen it happen, so a perpetrator be enabled on a huge scale, and that's terrifying.
Exactly. And I'm genuinely hoping that this clicks in a lot of people's heads that it's wrong, like it shouldn't happen. Please do not enable it. Call it out for what it is. It's abuse.
Women's lives literally depend on you calling it out.
If you don't call it out, you are an enabler, and you are a accessory to perpetration. Absolutely.
And so it is all men, in my view. Until you can prove to me that it's not all men, it is all men. Because if it's not the men who are perpetrating, it's the men who are allowing it to happen.
Yeah, exactly.